some stuff out, and that's pretty much it. So with division, it's exactly the same thing. It's just you want to go ahead and change that division sign to a multiplication sign and take the reciprocal of that fraction that you're dividing by. So it's like, it's really nothing. So it's nothing new in my opinion. Just don't forget to do it. So x over 8 minus 4x, we're going to change this division to a multiplication, but we're going to take the reciprocal of this. So 6 minus 3x over x squared. And now it's just like we're doing a multiplication problem, just like we did before. It's just that's our only step now with division. So we can't factor that. Factor out a 4 out of here to get a 2 minus x. Factor out a 3 out of here to get a 2 minus x squared. So these 2 minus x's cancel out. And then you can just simplify this by exponent laws or whatever. So we just get 1x on the bottom. So we get a 3 on the top, a 4 on the bottom, and then when you simplify that, you get an x on the bottom. So 3 over 4x. Alrighty, so why don't you guys go ahead and give this a shot, and then I'll go over it with you. So it's really like multiplication, just, yeah. So change that division to a multiplication, flip that guy around, and let's get started. So I might as well factor this in the meantime, right? So factoring this, we get a 7 minus x, 7 plus x, difference of squares. Factor out a 7 out of here to get an x minus 7. Change that to a multiplication to get x cubed plus 6x squared. Probably would have been best if I didn't factor, but whatever. So what I want to point out about this is that notice these guys look identical, but the minus is on the x here, and the minus is on the 7 here. So you could just factor out a negative out of either one. Probably going to factor out a negative out of this guy. So negative 7x minus 7. So factoring out a negative out of this, it'll be x minus 7. So these could cancel out. So that's another thing to look out for when you're doing these, is that hidden stuff could be there. That, you know, you gotta just do a little bit of stuff to cancel them. Alright. Here we can factor out an x squared. And this is like 6 and 7. Alright. So let's see what cancels. These x minus 7's cancel, like we said. And these x plus 6's cancel. So on top we get x squared. And I keep missing stuff to cancel. So you could also cancel out these x plus 7, 7 plus x. I was getting mixed up because of that. Alright, so we just get a x squared on top. Don't forget the negative 2 that we factored out. So negative x squared. And on the bottom we get a 7. That is it. Be careful. Okay. So now what's special about this one is that we're going to make this guy come off the bench because we haven't been using him this whole time. The difference or sum of cubes, so that's going to come into play because that's what that is. Alright, so the difference of cubes. First you got to change the division to multiplication and flip this fraction here. But I'm just going to factor in, no I'm not. So just rewrite it. Change that to a multiplication and then take the reciprocal, so x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay, so now that stuff's over with, let's get into the real thing. So this is the difference of cubes. So it's going to be x minus 2. Square the first, opposite sign, multiply them, square the last. I have to squeeze this guy in now, so that's just 3 and 2. So that's all for the numerator. On the bottom, this is factor out of 4 to get x squared minus 4. This guy looks like a 4 and a 2. Okay, now, so this is the difference of squares again. So be on the lookout for stuff like that. So we're gonna have to take care of that now. So we get x minus 2. I'm not gonna bother factoring this right now. We can't even factor it, so why even talk about it? So 2x plus 4, x plus 3, x plus 2. And this is being all divided by 4. Apply the difference of squares to get x minus 2, x plus 2 from this guy. And then you got x plus 4 and x minus 2. So the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's see what cancels out. These x minus 2's go away. This x plus 2 and this x plus 2 go away. And that's it. I wish there was more stuff to cancel. So we get x squared plus 2x plus 4 and the x plus 3. And on the bottom, you have a 4 and x plus 4 and the x minus 2. Again, it kind of looks messy now, but that's what it is. It is what it is. Okay, so I think you want to really try this one. So go ahead and try it, and then I'll go over it with you. See, we got the difference of cubes and the trinomials with the leading coefficient not being equal to 1. So I guess we're just combining it all together. So I'm assuming you did it. So we got the difference of cubes happening there. That's like x minus 3. Square this guy, opposite sign multiply. Square this guy. This is the difference of squares, so we get x minus 3, x plus 3. Change the division to multiplication. Flip it around. I don't know why I factored. I mean, you could just do all the other stuff and factor later. It's really up to you. So I'm going to have to bring this 2 back right now. Do the throwback method and multiply by the 15. So x minus. We could factor this in as well, I guess. That's like x minus 3 and an x plus 2. And this guy, we're going to bring the 2 back, so it's x squared minus x minus 30. Now we could factor it because the coefficient is 1. Coming off over here, I don't know if it's worth to write all that out, so let me just factor this. That's like a 6 and a 5. This guy right here. So it'll be like x minus 6, x plus 5. That's how that guy will factor. So, and then with the throwback method, don't forget to divide, because that's not a legal move to bring the 2 back like that. So divide the numbers by the 2. Barely going off the screen, but you've seen me do that before, so I hope you know what I'm doing there. And I factored this to be x minus 6 and x plus 5. So coming off here now, we get x minus 3 over there. Dividing the 2 here will just be 3, so x minus 3. But on that guy, we're going to have to bring it back, so it's going to be 2x plus 5. Now, let's see what happens. So these x minus 3's cancel. So these x minus 3's also cancel. Okay, so now we get this guy. X squared plus 3x plus 9. X plus 2. X plus 3. 2x plus 5. That turns out to be the final answer. Okay, so we've come down to the last problem of the day, and probably the last example I'll do, because this is my last video. Not that you care or anything, but so go ahead and try this, and then I'll go over with you. So I'm guessing you tried it. Now, we could factor out a 4 out of this to get 4 minus x. Trinomial, it's like x plus 5 and x plus 5. Change the division to multiplication, and that'll cause the fraction to flip. But that doesn't look like a fraction. So I could put it over 1, because you could put anything over 1. And now when I flip the fraction, it's going to be 1 over 2x squared minus 32. So there you have it. You can factor out a 2 from here to get x squared minus 16. And again, that's the difference of squares, so let's analyze that. On top we get 4 minus x. On the bottom we get the x plus 5, x plus 5. That 2, I'm just going to put it out here in the beginning, because it's just a chain of multiplication, and I could put it wherever I want. And that x squared minus 16 is going to become x minus 4, x plus 4. Okay, so now we're at that point where these two kind of look the same, because this is like 4 minus x, and that's x minus 4. The minus is on the x here, but here it's on the 4. So you just factor out a negative out of either one, whichever one you'd like. Probably going to factor out a negative out of here. So we get a negative. The 4 was initially there. A negative would cause this to be x minus 4. Pretty much when you factor out the negative, it's just going to look like that. And then we have the 2 down here. And then these x plus 5 don't look like they're going to cancel with anything. So you could, since they're to the first power, when you have the same base, you add the exponents. Or we have 2 of these quantities, whatever. And then this is x minus 4. And that's x plus 4. So the great thing that happens is that these x minus 4's cancel out. So our final answer that we get is, and you could reduce this to be 2. So we get a negative 2 over x plus 5 squared times that x plus 4. So that's the answer, and thank you so much. Just wanted to thank Pierce College and the Center of Academic Success for letting me do this video.